Do you know what a rainbow is? How it works? It's the work of millions of water droplets interacting with light, reflecting, refracting, all of that light, separating it out into its many wavelengths and reflecting it back to you in splendor. Whenever you see a rainbow, there are three things present: a light source, normally the sun, a water droplet, normally rain or a mist, and the observer, you. The rainbow is always there when those three things are present. So anytime you see sunlight, while there's also rain happening, a rare occurrence here in South Bend, but it does happen, when you see it, go outside, put your back to the sun, look at the water droplets, and you're pretty much guaranteed a rainbow. Because the light from the sun hits those water droplets, the magic of physics happens. It's split out into its many wavelengths and sent back to you in splendor and glory. And the really neat thing is if you draw that line from the sun to the water droplet and to yourself, then back to yourself, the angle made between those two lines is somewhere between 40 and 42 degrees. And so the bow is every water droplet that sits at that spot between the two lines at 40 to 42 degrees. It's amazing stuff. For Noah, God sets the rainbow as a sign. He's just experienced a devastating flood, 40 days on an ark. And God sets it as a sign that he will not destroy the world with a flood ever again. And that flood is a distant reality to us, but think of Noah and his kin. 40 days on an ark with all of the animals, wondering, will this ever end? What will come of us? And so then imagine, too, every time it starts to rain, they've experienced 40 days of constant rain and all of this. Imagine any time it starts to rain. What kind of anxiety starts to well up in them? Will this be like that other time? Will it ever stop? Will devastation come upon us again? And yet then the sun comes. The rainbow appears. And they are reminded of God's covenant that I will never devastate the world like that with a flood again. The rain comes, the anxiety wells up, but then the rainbow appears and provides consolation, reassurance of God's care and protection. What a beautiful gift to Noah and his kin, those who had experienced that. Now again, we're a good many thousand years away from that experience, and so the rainbow may not have that same weight for us. And again, we have the gift of physics that we can tell you. We can watch the YouTube video and tell you exactly what all is going on in the rain droplet and why it happens. And so is it really just this amazing sign set by God? It's just a marvel of the physical world for many of us. And yet isn't that marvel itself a wondrous reassurance of God's care and consideration? For one does not create a universe with such delicate realities such as light, such mind-boggling realities as particle and wavelength, which is which and how does it work? Who knows? And yet God created it, and us with the capacity, so many of us with the capacity to experience it. One doesn't create a universe like that without a great deal of care, compassion, and delight. So many exquisite realities present in the world that surrounds us. Our liturgical choir showing us the wonder of sound. It's just pressure waves. And yet it does all that it does. It's fantastic. And we need not wait until the next sun-rain experience to sit in the wonder of that reality of light. We sit in it right now, This basilica is refracting and reflecting and showing us the wonder and splendor of light as we exist in it, surrounded by wondrous reassurances of a compassionate, creative, and caring God. Jesus, at the very beginning of his ministry, connected with another very powerful image of God's care and compassion. He went out into the wilderness for 40 days. He connected his imminent entrance into public ministry with the work of God guiding the people of Israel through the desert for 40 years, leading them out of slavery to the promised land. And in that journey, the people clearly experienced the hand of God at work, guiding and caring for them. Whether it was the pillar of cloud shining, showing them the way, manna every day, appearing on the ground, providing for them, sustaining them, water flowing, gushing out of rock. God's hand was clearly upon them. God was present, guiding, protecting, and caring for them. Now, some who know a little bit about geography may notice that while there's a decent distance between Egypt and the Holy Land, it's not 40 years worth of walking. Shouldn't take that long. Yet the fullness of time involved with God and the people in the desert was more than just about getting from one place to another. It was about working out a relationship. The entrance into the promised land wasn't just about a physical arrival at a particular location, but a lived reality of relationship between God and God's people. In those 40 years, a great deal was provided to help the people come to know what it meant, what it was to be, to live in the fullness of relationship with the Almighty, dwelling in the Almighty's presence, receiving the Almighty's care and direction. It's not something that comes easily to us, understanding a relationship with God. It takes time to learn and live into and allow our lives to be conformed to. That's what was going on with the Lord and the people of Israel in the desert. Shaping a relationship, guiding them into a capacity to be truly and fully God's people. We stand here at the front end of these 40 days of Lent, a couple days into it, possibly still even just working out our plan of how to enter in and receive the graces of this gift. We are given these days for similar reason as the people of Israel in the desert, to work on our relationship with the living God, to come to understand what it means to be God's people, to do similar work of developing our capacity to experience the fullness of the Almighty's presence, care, and guidance. In the grand scheme of things, 40 days is not that much. Yet in the whirlwind reality of our lives, it can seem like a great length of time. Much will pass through our calendar in this next month and a half. Great obligations and challenges will press for our attention. In the midst of it, we might find ourselves craving for the consolation of those material items that in our fast we have set at a distance. Or worse yet, we might find ourselves seeking the things that sin deceives us as offering as a consolation, and yet are really ruinous shackles. The The journey of these 40 days is not always an easy one. The journey for the people of Israel in the desert was not an easy one. Jesus was besieged by the devil for his 40 days in the wilderness. Yet the Israelites were never without God's presence, care, or guidance. Jesus was never without God's presence, care, or guidance. We are never without God's presence, care, or guidance. The key, of course, is noticing, receiving the signs that surround us on our journey, observing the splendor of the Lord that is written into the fabric of our being, imbued in the lives of those who journey with us, emanating from the wonder of the created world, present there in the stones, the windows, and the water droplets. We have an opportunity here to enter into this gift of Lent, to receive well God's presence, to allow our lives to be conformed by God, to be able to have that capacity to live fully in His presence. As we enter in, these early days are a beautiful time, and throughout Lent, to beseech the Lord to pour out His grace on us as we move through this time. To call out, Lord, give us the grace to enter well into the wilderness of these 40 days, that we may be stripped of the worldly distractions that obscure our capacity to perceive you, that we may live as your beloved ones, live capable of the fullness of your presence, care, and guidance.